tēnā koutou katoa, ki te haukainga Ngāti Manuia poto, tēnā koutou. Ki ngā hapu, ngā iwi o te motu nei, tēnā koutou. Ko te pari o te rā Waihī rua rāua ko putawa ki ngā maunga, ko ponga kaua rāua ko whakatāne ngā awa, ko Ngāti Whakahemo rāua ko Ngāti awa ngā iwi, ko Kura hau, tēnā koutou.
Kia ora koutou, ko te kaituna te awa, ko makatū te papakainga, ko Roana Bennett ahau. It's with pleasure that we've got the opportunity today to talk about this awesome project that we run at home at Makatū, at the Waihī estuary. I just want to introduce you to our project first. This beautiful photo is a photo of our beautiful home, the Waihī estuary. And that logo on the left, that's our project logo, and that's our manu that flies over the estuary and gathers up the 5 iwi that are connected to the estuary and brings us together despite all the issues that we face, the Waitangi claims, the Maka claims, everything else that we face. Our estuary is bringing us together. So the manu represents us coming together, the 5 iwi. And then together, we gather up the other people that we collaborate with, and we form Te Wahapū or Waihī. The central focus that brings us together is the restoration of our beautiful estuary. This is another photo of our home, of our estuary. And you can see there the picture isn't quite so blue, isn't quite so beautiful. You can see the degradation. If you look closer, you can see the straight lines, which are the canals. So our rivers, our awa, our streams, our tributaries into the estuary, they were straightened. And the farming intensification of the 70s and the horticultural intensification of the 80s has done significant damage to our estuary. We still remember as children gathering kai in the Waihī, and we also remember distinctly as teenagers when we were told, "Kau, don't eat from there anymore." Every metric that you can think of, we are at the bottom of. The only metric that we're at the top of is that we are one of the most degraded estuaries in the country. This is such a shameful position. It used to be a place where our pipi were white. Have a look at that photo there. Pipis, black, dead, inedible. The middle photo, that's all the algae bloom. In our home, the paru. And that map there with the red, that's the seafood ban. And that happens to us frequently. It's sad. It's mamai. It doesn't matter how often we present and talk about it, it brings us to tears. This is our home. Our kids, we can't take them there. So what do we do about it? We gathered, we talked about how we can come together, how we can make the estuary our focus. And we developed a beautiful, beautiful whakatauki that was handed to us by our kaumātua Muriwai just a few months before he passed. The health of the estuary is a metaphor for the health of the people. So we've internalised that, and we've got cracking in terms of restoring decades of damage of our home. We start with karakia. Where else do you start? Dawn karakia on the land, on the estuary, all 5 iwi together. That map on the right there, that's the full catchment, because it's not just about the estuary, it's about everything that leads into the estuary. The Waihī catchment is 35,000 hectares, of which over 9,000 hectares are farms still in Māori ownership. So that's another good place to start, with our own. And of course, everything is centred on our rangatahi, the kaitiaki of our future. I want to talk shortly, before I hand it over to Kura, about the summer internship program that we run. We collect 10 of our rangatahi, 2 from each of our iwi, rangatahi that are connected to the estuary through their whānau. And we have them for the summer period. and we bring their whānau on board as well. And they do really cool things. Here you see them doing some estuary monitoring. The photos on the right, they're collecting rubbish and sorting to determine and put together a database of the rubbish that's washing up on our beaches. Top left, you've got the tuna. So they catch the tuna, they check their health, and then they release them again. Here we've got them working on the whenua, pest control, pest plant control, pest animal control. These are all young people that now are heading off to university. Over half of them are taking programs in marine biology or some other environmental science. And here, of course, we've got the boys skipping pippies across the sea, across the estuary water, and we've got them doing some kaimoana monitoring. So the gloomy picture that I painted at the beginning, we've already, over the last 2 years, put some really strong po in the ground, because every single one of these young people will come back and do even more than we have been able to.
Kia ora no tātou. Kia ora. But what about the estuary at the centre? Could we, because you can see the red circle there on that slide. Here we are, we have an estuary that's degraded, one of the most degraded in the country, and we still have the whenua around it that looks like that. So could we put a resilience buffer around our estuary? Could we create a korowai of love for her? That makes me want to cry. Kia ora. And so we did. So the 5 of us, iwi, because you know what it's like when we're all together, it's fabulous. So the 5 of us, we bought a 30-hectare dairy farm, and we're going to convert it to a salt marsh and wetland as a korowai for our estuary. Because you know, you can see there's the pongakawa, that's my awa. And look at it, it's just a straight line. That means, can you see any riparian planting? Nah. So could we, if we build a new wetland, a korowai for our estuary, could we help filter out some of the paru that's coming from upstream as it comes before our estuary? But you know, part of restoration, kia ora, also includes naming. Currently, the place where we're restoring that 30-hectare dairy farm that we're converting is called Cutwater Road, because it's at the end of Cutwater Road. But the real name, the true name, is Te Here Here. That's the name of that whenua, the name of from our tipuna. Image number 1, Te Here Here was a seasonal settlement. It's where our tipuna, our ancestors, would go, you know, over the summer and collect all the kai. And then they would go home, store it, and go home for the winter. Image 1 is some of our people collecting harakeke, because that was our economy, our tribal economy. We were known as the net makers. That was our mana, and that was how we bartered and traded with our whanaunga on the other side at Maketu, because we're at Pukahina. Image number 2, that's my daddy. My daddy was the main cook at our marae. That photo was taken about 6 o'clock in the morning, and he had already been there for 2 hours. But he was our cook, mahinga kai ringa raupa. And the image number 3 is of my cousin getting watercress, best watercress. Oh no, not anymore, unfortunately. Kia ora. So this image here, is you can see why it was a mahinga kai. You can see the 2 awa pongakawa Pukahina on the sides of it, and you can see that brown stuff in the front, that's a salt marsh. Close, everything, awa, repo, Wahapū, mahinga kai. Kia ora. But what about the estuary as well? What about the Wahapū? At the same time as we're converting that dairy farm to wetland, and that's a mission too, we're also working in the estuary, because they go together. You can't just do the whenua and not the awa and not the Wahapū. It's all together. So you see that map there. In 1943, the green on that map, that was the extent of seagrass in the estuary. Fast forward to 2023, I can't see the numbers because I'm too blind. I think there was 0.9 of a hectare in 2023, those two little circles there. We went down again in December last year and remapped our seagrass, and there's less 0.2 of a hectare of our seagrass left. Did you know seagrass is an awesome tohu for water quality? Paru water, declining seagrass. He tohu tēnā. The other thing about seagrass is baby tāmure, baby snapper, they all live in the seagrass. They hide in it, they feed in there, and then when they're big enough, then they go out to sea. Seagrass is the most productive ecosystem on the planet, and ours is degrading. So in part of our mahi, while we're doing the wetland, we're also trying to look at restoring our pipi. I say tuatua, my whanaunga says kahitua, because we're just on opposite sides of the estuary, as well as our seagrass. But you know, the other thing about seagrass, mangroves, and salt marsh, what they can do is they can take carbon from out of the atmosphere and they store it in their roots, and they can do that for millennia. So, what if we also, because not like we don't have enough jobs, but let's add another one, and let's see, can we store carbon? And if we can, well, let's do it before, during, and after the restoration of our whenua, te here. And maybe if carbon can generate revenue, because people say you can make money, pau, could that money, any revenue we made from carbon, assuming we can even capture it and store it, etc., could that money then come back to help us awhi our Wahapū and our whenua? As that's our example of a kaitiakitanga circular approach to looking after our whenua. So the 5 iwi and our partners, we've got heaps of mates helping us, and we're very thankful. We will be planting, we started planting last week, and 160,000 native plants, 16 k's of fencing, can't see the other thing. Oh, and 23 new environmental plans. That means that Roana talked about the landowners in the catchment in the rohe of our Wahapū. We don't care what colour your skin is, all we want is for you to be a better custodian to our whenua, our awa, and our Wahapū. And therefore, our project, we will give you $18,000 to $20,000, give or take, to help you do environmental plans, so whatever your mahi is up the top, when it comes down to us at the coast, it's better. Koina te tikanga. Kia ora. Okay, back. She broke it. We've got one more slide. Can we just do the last slide? Ngā te whakauwe ki make tū. Oh, sorry, matatini. Because at the end of the day, the next one, sorry. Because if we could build a koroi of love for our Wahapū, at the moment, can you see those orange boxes? And A is our 30 hectare dairy farm that we're converting now, so it's 30 hectares. And if you look to B, that's another 40 hectares that we're just starting to work on now. So that's 70 hectares. And then if you look at, I think it's C, that's another 24 hectares that the landowner is gifting to us. But we haven't got the pūtea to do all the mahi and do all the planting yet. And D is something another in process. So our korowai is a korowai, a kākahu for our estuary, and hopefully we'll have 100 hectares to love her better. Kia ora. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Homai te paki paki.